Dust hung thick in the late afternoon air, curling into the open doorway of the Silver Spur Saloon. It was a tired place in a tired town, Dry Creek, Arizona Territory, 1887. A settlement where most dreams had either been buried or blown away by the desert wind. From behind the bar, Caleb Rourke, ex-outlaw, reluctant barkeep, wiped a glass and glanced toward the entrance. He was used to drifters and gamblers, gunmen and ranch hands. But the figure that appeared now made him pause. She was thin, almost frail, wrapped in a patched shawl that had seen better years. Her dress was sun-bleached and worn at the hem, boots scuffed down to nothing. But it wasn't her ragged state that stopped him, it was her eyes. Storm grey. Not cold, but searching. Like someone who had seen too much and trusted too little. She clutched a bundle of sewing needles and thread. Her voice was quiet but steady. "Can I mend your clothes for a bowl of soup?" Caleb blinked. In all his years on the frontier, no woman had ever approached him like that. "You're offering sewing for supper?" "Yes." Her hands trembled slightly. "I can patch, hem, fix rips. I haven't eaten since yesterday." The saloon had gone quiet. Cowboys at the tables pretended not to listen, but their glances said otherwise. Caleb set down the glass. "What's your name?" "Ellen." She hesitated. "Ellen Ward." He felt something stir in his chest. "Come on, then. Let's get you fed." Chapter 2, Threads of the Past. The soup was nothing fancy, beef broth with onions and potatoes, but she ate as though it were the finest meal in San Francisco. Between spoonfuls, Caleb noticed the faint bruise along her jawline, half hidden beneath the shawl. "You from around here?" he asked. She shook her head. "San Miguel. Downriver." A pause. "Not going back." That told him more than she said. San Miguel was a rough town, smugglers, gambling dens, and worse. If she'd left there, she likely had a reason. After she finished, Ellen insisted on working. She took Caleb's spare shirt, a once white work shirt torn at the shoulder, and began to mend it with quick, practiced stitches. "You sew like you've done it your whole life," Caleb said. "My mama taught me," she murmured. Then, softer, "before she died." There was something guarded in her tone, but Caleb didn't push. He'd spent enough years hiding his own scars to recognize the same in another. When she handed the shirt back, her fingers brushed his. The touch was light, but it sent an unexpected current through him. Chapter 3, Trouble Rides In. 2 nights later, trouble came to Dry Creek. It arrived in the form of Jeb Maddox and his crew, 4 rough riders with pistols on their hips and meanness in their eyes. Caleb knew Maddox from the old days, back when he'd ridden the outlaw trail himself. They burst into the saloon, laughter sharp as spurs. Maddox spotted Caleb behind the bar and smirked. "Well, I'll be." Caleb Rourke, serving whiskey instead of stealing it. Caleb kept his voice even. "Times change." "Maybe," Maddox drawled, leaning on the bar. "But I heard tell you've still got a taste for the old ways. Reckon you'd help an old friend." Caleb's jaw tightened. "I'm not in that life anymore." Maddox's eyes flicked toward Ellen, who was quietly repairing a tablecloth in the corner. "Who's the pretty seamstress?" "Yours." "She's nobody's," Caleb said, sharper than he meant. Maddox grinned, but it was the kind that made Caleb's stomach knot. "Nobody's, huh? Well, maybe I'll change that." Caleb's hand drifted toward the rifle under the bar. "Not tonight, Jeb." The moment stretched tight as a whipcord, until Maddox laughed and backed off. "Fine, Rourke. We'll talk later." But Caleb knew trouble wasn't done. Chapter 4, Confessions by Lantern Light. That night, Caleb walked Ellen back to the small room above the saloon where she'd been staying since she started mending clothes for the local ranch hands. The lantern light threw soft gold across her face, making her look almost peaceful. "You know Maddox?" she asked. "Too well," Caleb admitted. "Rode with him once, years back. Before I decided I'd had enough of killing." Her gaze held his. "Why'd you stop?" He hesitated, then spoke quietly. "Because I shot a man who didn't deserve it. Been trying to make it right ever since." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then Ellen said, "I know what it's like. To want to leave a life behind." He looked at her. "San Miguel?" She nodded. "I was married there. My husband liked to gamble. Lost more than money, lost his temper when he drank. One night, he lost me in a poker game." Caleb's gut twisted. "Lost you?" "He bet me," she said simply. "The man he lost to came for me. I ran." Caleb had seen a lot of cruelty in his time, but it made him want to find the man and put him in the ground. "You're safe here," he said, his voice firm. "As long as I'm breathing." Something softened in her eyes. "Why would you do that for me?" "Because someone should have." Chapter 5: Fire and Gunpowder. It happened 3 days later. Maddox and his men stormed into the saloon again, this time armed and meaner than before. "We're leaving town," Maddox announced. "But first, we're taking the girl." Caleb stepped out from behind the bar, rifle in hand. "Over my dead body." Maddox smirked. "That can be arranged." The first shot came fast, splintering a whiskey bottle beside Caleb's head. He dropped behind the bar, returned fire, and chaos erupted. Glass shattered, chairs overturned, men shouted. Ellen had ducked behind a table, but one of Maddox's men was moving toward her. Caleb saw it and felt a white-hot rage burn through him. He surged up, fired, and the man went down. Maddox swore, returning fire. Caleb's shoulder burned as a bullet grazed him, but he kept shooting. One by one, Maddox's men fell or fled, until only Maddox remained. "You should have ridden with me, Rourke." Maddox snarled. "And you should have left her alone," Caleb growled. The final shot rang out. Maddox staggered, dropped his gun, and collapsed. The saloon fell silent except for Caleb's ragged breathing. Chapter 6: A New Beginning. The town sheriff came to haul Maddox's surviving men to jail. Ellen helped bandage Caleb's shoulder upstairs, her hands gentle but sure. "You could have been killed," she said, voice shaking. "Worth it," he replied. She met his gaze. "Why?" He smiled faintly. "Because when you walked in here asking to mend my clothes for a bowl of soup, you gave me a reason to care again. And I'm not letting that go." Her breath caught. "Caleb." He reached for her hand. "You've been running long enough, Ellen. You can stay. Not because you owe me anything, but because you're safe here. With me." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I'd like that," she whispered. Epilogue: Threads of Home. Weeks passed. Ellen's sewing became the quiet heartbeat of Dry Creek, patching the ranchers' coats, hemming the school teachers' dresses, even making curtains for the saloon. Caleb found himself smiling more, the weight of the past lifting, thread by thread. One evening, as the sun set over the desert, Ellen stood beside him on the porch. "I was thinking," she said softly, "about that first day, when I asked to mend your clothes for soup." He chuckled. "Hard to forget. You never asked why I offered sewing instead of just begging." "Didn't need to," he said, slipping an arm around her. "You wanted to give something back. That's the kind of woman you are."